Hello and welcome to We Love Dogs. This is our episode 4. I'm Caroline.
And I'm Cheryl.
Today we're going to be doing an episode about positive reinforcement training, what it is, why we use it, and why and how it works. So, positive reinforcement, what exactly is it? So, it's the use of what we call a reinforcer in training. So, that's adding something such as treats, play, fuss when we get a desired behaviour. So, an example of this would be, for instance, your dog sits when asked. You say your marker word, that's good boy, good girl, yes. And then you would mark that behaviour as well by giving them a treat. Now, by doing that, that makes it all the more likely that they would perform that behaviour again. By using this method and being consistent, it makes it all the more likely that this would work again and we'd get that desired behaviour again. Do you agree with that, Cheryl?
Yeah, definitely. I think you've explained it perfectly with what it is. That's kind of how I explain it to people I work with. I always say to them, if you reinforce the behaviours that your dog is doing that you like, they're more likely to keep doing it for you because it's positive, it's rewarding. They get something from it. Um, and I think when it comes to training, sometimes this gets missed that positive reinforcement is always just about treats and throwing treats at dogs. And I know we spoke about it before, haven't we? Like, we get called cookie pushers and all this kind of stuff. And,
Oh, yeah.
and it is laughable because, unless you're doing positive reinforcement training, there's a huge, there's a massive amount of more stuff comes with that. So, like, for example, like rewards are not generally always just food. There's so
No.
many different things you can use as reinforcement. So you can use play, praise, even access to the environment. Um,
Yep.
and I think the important thing is to remember it's what your dog finds rewarding. And I
Yeah.
remember you told me a story about a dog that found something very rewarding.
Yeah, so this was a dog a few years ago. This dog was a big dog as well. And indoors, cues, absolutely fantastic, phenomenal. Outdoors, especially because this dog was so attractive looking as well, people hadn't helped keep going up to the dog. So the dog in its head, it was more reinforcing to go up to people all the time. So nothing was working. You could wave a steak at that dog, and that dog wasn't going to take any notice. So we had to really drill down and think about what would the reinforcer be for that dog. Well, then the owner said to me, "Oh, do you know what? She likes drinking out of a sports water bottle." I was like, "What?" It's like, "Okay, then let's try that." So we used the sports water bottle. I mean, sometimes use Primula. I don't know if you do, but Primula cheese to
Yeah.
reward if I'm doing loose lead walking. So you give them a little tiny squeeze of cheese when you're getting the desired behaviours. We use that bottle like as though you've got your treats in your pocket or your Primula cheese. So every time this dog was walking along, in a slack lead near or by our side, checking in, we would say, "Oh, good girl," and she'd be able to drink out of this sports water bottle. And that was how we got her walking loose lead and engaging with her family. It was just miraculous.
When you told me that, I was just like, that is crazy. And I think that is such an important story because people automatically think their dog is going to love chicken, cheese, sausage, whatever it is
Yeah.
their dog likes. But there's so much more to rewards. It doesn't have to be all the time that food, it can be play and stuff.
Yeah,
Um, and,
absolutely.
access to environment, there's certain dogs, certain breeds that they love that being able to just
Yep.
then go off and have a sniff. So, for example, you recall your dog back, they come, then you let them go again. Is
Mm,
enough
mm,
of a reward for them to do what you've asked them, and then go back and do something they love. Um,
exactly. Yeah.
and I think I love training dogs that way, and there is absolutely no way I would do it any other way. Just seeing that happiness, seeing like light bulb moments when things click, because they're like, wow, this is great, this is fun, building that relationship with their owner, trust. Um,
Yeah.
that I think that's what we said about what the effects. of positive reinforcement, what it would bring to you and your dog.
Mm.
So, what sort of things would you say that positive reinforcement dog training brings to the dog and to the owner?
For me, I mean, me and my dogs, me and my clients' dogs, by using positive reinforcement, it improves your relationship. You're paying your dog for working for you. You're showing your dog that when they do good things, great things happen as well. You're also looking
Yeah,
at what works for your dog, like we've just said there about sometimes treats isn't going to cut it, kind of thing.
no,
Everything else around them is going to be the biggest bigger reinforcer than a treat that you're going to give them. So it's actually you working with your dog, figuring out their personality, what makes your dog tick, and that only improves your relationship with your dog. So, like we've said, with some people recalling their dog, it can be as their dog comes back, a big fuss of their dog, giving them if they like their ears being touched and stroked, it can be that. If they like a massage on their back, it can be that. If they like to play, that's the biggest reinforcer. You pull
yeah,
out a toy and you play with them, and then you go on your way, kind of thing. So yeah, it improves your relationship with your dog and you're showing
yeah,
them, but by them doing these behaviors and listening to you, great things happen. And let's face it, if we were doing stuff for someone all the time and not getting paid for it, the likelihood is we might become down, our morale might go down, we might feel, oh, they're boring to listen to. So positive reinforcement ticks so many boxes as well. It makes them feel
mm,
good, makes us feel good. They
yeah.
always know great things are going to happen to us, and we're worth listening to as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like all everything you just covered. Like who wouldn't want that with their dog? I know. Oh
Exactly.
gosh, like I couldn't think of anything else. My dog, I couldn't bear the thought of my dog being scared of me or doing stuff because they're trying to avoid something bad happening to them.
That's
Um,
the bit I can
and
never
you
get my head around. It's just,
no,
why would you? I mean, let's face it, when you do get trainers who teach using punishment, it seemingly may work in that
mm,
instance. But in actual fact, you're ruling your dog by using fear. The dogs can be less left scared. You could hurt them, you could injure them. So much can go
yeah,
wrong. Why would you want to do that to your dog? That's the bit. Is that really going to help your relationship? Of course it's not. Is that really going to be teaching them what to do? No, you're momentarily stopping them doing something, but your dog doesn't know what to do instead. And again, this is where
mm,
positive reinforcement does help them.
yeah, yeah. And you touched on all the bits that the effects of positive reinforcement. And I think like a couple of bits I would add in is that you said about the relationship, trusting, the bond, the dog feels safe. The dog knows that there's that communication because you've taught them
Yep,
things and they know how to do things. So and then that builds confidence in the dog. And then
exactly.
the dog, they say that the scientific research and stuff like that, because all our stuff is science backed. They say that the dog becomes more optimistic.
Yeah,
Um, and so they build more resilience. So they
yep,
have a more of a positive outlook
yep,
and they expect good things to happen.
yep.
And then that resilience is, I find resilience building that is really important with dogs because the more resilience you've built, they are more able to cope if something does go wrong. So if they had a bad
Exactly.
interaction, if they're more resilient, they can kind of come through that challenging situation easier. If you imagine a dog that's scared or anxious that something bad's always going to happen to them, when something does happen, they can't cope.
They can't cope at all. No, no, this is
And
it.
yeah, and I don't get it with the punishment and corrections myself because there's so much evidence and research done now that using positive reinforcement works. It is a bit more, it can take longer and it does take more skill around stuff,
Yep,
and commitment.
yep.
Um, and I always, when I think about, punishment, corrections, the thing that I always think about is I feel for the dogs, but I feel for the owners because they don't realise what they're doing, just like you did with George when you spoke about it previously.
Yeah, yeah, all those
The
years
methods.
ago. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, with George, just to recap, we had someone come in. He was doing normal puppy stuff, but this is pre my training, obviously. He was 5.5 months old. He was jumping up at the kids. Um, just doing normal puppy stuff, but the trainer shook things in his face. It was a Tupperware with coins in to stop him doing all these things. Well, it stopped George.
Yeah.
So you'd on the outside, seemingly, you'd say that had worked. But for
Mhm.
George, that left him traumatized. Literally, it really, really did. When the trainer was leaving that day, they actually said as they were going, he was like in our little utility bit, just sitting in this archway, and his head was down. And the trainer actually said, "Oh, I think I've traumatized him." But they
Mm.
had, definitely. And as George got older, by the way, we never had to shake anything again. But the problem was as well, even just picking up a Tupperware for a while with nothing in it, George would cower. So that's the effect it
Oh,
had on him.
yeah.
And the other thing about George was he was never scared of fireworks outdoors, no loud noises outdoors. Indoors, he did become scared of noises. So it was like he
Yeah.
knew he couldn't trust his environment and couldn't trust us. Now, with
Hmm.
every ailment that George had later on, if he was poorly, when his cruciate went, we noticed that even if we were opening a cardboard box, it made a loud noise, he would cower. If you opened,
Oh,
say, a Prosecco bottle, he would cower. Crackers at Christmas, that was the other one. So
yeah.
anything in the house, especially if he had something physically wrong with him or was below par, that trauma came back to haunt him. So this is
Oh,
the fallout you can also see with this type of punishment because dogs don't think and learn the same as us. I mean, it's not even right for a human, but dogs when they're doing things, they're not doing it to be naughty. They're usually doing things that we find irritating and frustrating because they're struggling. So to then add things to
yeah.
them that are going to traumatize them or make them fearful or make them not trust us even more can be
Mm.
damaging long term. And it absolutely was for George.
Oh, bless him. And that for you now, you know, so again, going back to owners, they find a dog trainer who says they can help them stop whatever these behaviors are their dog's doing. Um, and as an owner, do they know what to look for? They
Mm.
don't.
No, I didn't
And
ask any questions back then.
no. And I think another thing we should touch on is kind of what actually is punishment, corrections, because sometimes it can be overlooked as, well, it's not really hurting my dog. And so I don't see an issue. I mean, so punishment is basically when like an action is used to discourage or stop a dog from repeating a certain behavior.
Yeah.
So something's put in, sort of added to stop that dog doing something. And obviously, punishment, we're talking about not the nicest of things, and it can be simple stuff like shouting and raising your voice. That
Mm.
can, again, your dog feels insecure. They don't know what's going on. They don't understand. They know that tone
No.
of voice. They know that sound's gone up. Um, just things like pulling harshly on the lead. See that a lot. Um, Again, puts your dog in a situation they don't understand what they've done wrong. They want to avoid that happening, so they just don't know what to do. So it's
Yep.
confusion and frustration. And then
Yep.
I think you can go on to the more kind of things that are very obvious, like loud noises, like you said, shaking things.
Mm.
You get these spray collars, you get these prongs, these grots, slip leads used for training.
Mm.
Um, I mean, that's kind of the e-collars. These are kind of the stuff that sometimes, again, owners get told to use by, these balanced dog trainers that use punishment and treats. That's why
Yep.
they say they're balanced. And the owners just look at this person as a professional. And like you said, they see this stuff stop
Mm.
and they think, oh, brilliant, that's
It
fantastic.
worked. Yeah, yeah. But in actual fact, it hasn't. All they've done is suppress the behaviour. So, like going
Mm.
back to George all that time ago, it stopped him in his tracks doing the behaviours, but he didn't know why we were doing that to him. To him, it was like, hold on a minute, I was just having fun with the kids and I was jumping up. Instead of us showing him what he could do instead, a sit or redirecting him to something else or um, teaching him jumping up doesn't work kind of thing in kind, ethical ways. To him, he was being taught just to stop by being scared and fearful, but he didn't really know why we were doing that to him. And
Yeah.
that's the danger. So all you're doing is suppressing a behavior and possibly making things worse as well.
Yeah,
It is actually really, really scary.
it's scary. And I think something that upsets me when I see things on social media with the punishment being used on dogs and infractions, is the look on the dog's face, the dog's body
Yeah.
language. You know, when if you do a bit of research around dog body language, what I think is important for all dog owners to do and know their dog's body language, when you see these signs that this dog is so frightened, so uncomfortable,
Mm,
doesn't know what to do, doesn't want to move because something might happen,
mm.
it can be missed by, you know, an untrained eye.
Yeah,
I notice it a lot, and I sit there and I almost want to reach out to that person and just say, like, please look at your dog. And
yeah,
that's where, you know, this is the effects of punishment and corrections, is that they enhance that negative emotional state.
yeah,
So the dogs have that emotion. We, as positive reinforcement trainers, we look at the emotions of the dogs, don't we?
yeah,
We look at this. That's what we look into. That's what we try and help change how they feel
yeah.
about things. When it just stops, it doesn't do anything.
No,
And it has been shown that using these techniques can result to further problems, like you said, also aggression.
yeah,
Like, you know, and people don't understand why. But if you think about it in a really simple term, if someone was constantly doing something to you, didn't feel nice or hurt you or made you scared, you're more than likely at some point to go, I've had enough,
but
and you're
enough.
going to
Yeah,
fight back.
yeah, yeah. And the dogs can redirect, of course, sometimes if they're getting really, really wound up by it, or associate that tug on the lead when they're being told off for, they don't know what they're doing wrong on the lead, but they're being yanked on their collar, whatever. They can start associating whatever's around at the time with
Yeah,
that tug on the lead, like a child or something. So,
yeah,
yeah, you you have to be so, so careful. And like we've just said, it doesn't teach the dog what they're supposed to be doing and what they're doing wrong in our eyes, because to a dog they don't think like, they don't know they're doing things wrong. To them they're
no,
just being dogs, and we need to understand that. So with positive reinforcement and the type of trainers we are, when we see a problem, issue, challenge, whatever's going on, we don't look at just stopping the behavior. We look at the reason why the dog is doing that. Why
yeah,
is the dog doing that?
100%.
How can we help the dog to stop doing that? What can we do to show the dog what to do instead? And
Yeah,
sometimes you have to bring things right back.
yeah,
So for instance, a dog who gets overwhelmed when they're out in the street, you might have to start by doing games on the doorstep and build up gradually that way. Um,
mhm,
Give them distance and things like that. Um, and that's the way we change how they think and feel about things. When we do get the desired behaviours, we say, good boy, good girl, our marker words, and we reward with that reinforcer, that treat, that toy, that play, that whatever is the reinforcer for that dog, to make it all the more likely for that behaviour happening again, to make the dog realise, well, actually, when I'm like this, I'm all nice and calm, I can cope. Oh, yeah, great things happen. And it makes it
yeah,
all the more likely that's going to happen again and again and again. Um, so yeah, positive reinforcement, what you were saying earlier, it can take longer, but if you do it in the bite-sized pieces and
yeah,
work at the dog's pace, because it's not something when you're changing how a dog thinks and feels about something, whether it be a phobia and anxiety, or whether it's something exciting,
mhm,
usually that's not going to happen in half an hour. You have to
no,
change things to change that thing, what we've said before in other episodes. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And like we've said there as well, and watch your dog's body language really, really closely, because generally you can see if they're coping or going over threshold as well.
yeah. And that's why having, you know, a certified, accredited dog trainer who uses these methods that do work, they do it in the kindest way. They are
Yeah,
thinking about the dog, not just, oh, do you know what? You're going to get punished for expressing how you feel
yeah,
because these behaviors come out. And, you know, the whole reactivity thing, dogs positive and people might see negative reactions, you know, it's all kind of different. Um, oh, we don't want that anymore. So we're going to just literally do something to them. It's gonna stop it. And just everything you said, like getting that trainer on board can help you, guide you. They can recognize when your dog's struggling, they can recognize the signs. So even if you are finding it hard, get someone who knows what they're doing and they
yeah,
will give you the tools They will show you and they will guide you. And again, it's just when you're using punishment, corrections, all you're doing is breaking down a relationship with a dog that you love. If you do
Yeah.
love that dog, but sometimes you might not realize what you're actually doing to your relationship.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
so important, that
Yeah.
trust that your dog can go, do you know what? I'm not feeling good. I need
Mm,
to get out of here. And you go, right, let's go.
mm,
And this,
mm.
we're not going to go into depth about things, but I think what we want to do is just explain, because we do get quite a lot of stick, positive reinforcement trainers. I think we do.
Oh, we
Um,
do, absolutely. I mean, some of the names you get called as well. Like you said, the cookie pushers, we're pink and fluffy.
I know.
We everything should know about they're going to get punished if whether you're human or dog, and we avoid that. We don't, it's not avoiding, it's because we know how a dog thinks and learns that we
Yeah.
don't use punishment. And as for
Yes.
actually, I just want to add in there about the corrections as well, because that gets used sometimes when they say, oh, no, you've got to correct someone. And correcting someone sounds a lot better than when you say punishing. So a
Yeah.
correction is, if you're a different type of trainer, it's tugging on a slip lead, which is a rope like a noose around a dog's neck.
Mm.
So you're going against the throat, and it can be
Yeah.
dangerous. Um, correction can be hitting a dog. So in actual fact, if someone says, "Oh no, we use corrections," but that's only to teach them what to do, corrections is a punishment. And if you've got a trainer who says they're going to be using corrections, then
Hmm.
beware, because they will use punishment, and that punishment can be any level of things leading up
Yeah.
to your dog being strangled, your dog being hit, your dog being sprayed with water. That is what a correction is with some trainers. So you need to be
Mm.
clear about that.
Yeah. And I think, again, people can sometimes misunderstand as well. Corrections can kind of be even like this word that they use about dominance, that you should be dominant over your dog, sort of making yourself scary to the dog, that you're the boss, you're in charge. That gets thrown around a lot. And again, you are punishing the dog. They don't understand what you're doing and they're frightened of you.
Exactly. Yeah.
It, it's so hard for us because we do what we do because we love dogs. We want to help owners. We want to do it in the kindest way, which is all science backed. It's all proven to work. We want to do this way, and we get a lot of stick for it. And I think I sometimes get really puzzled because if you was a person that was kind to children and done things all the science backed way with kids, so how children learn now and all the best stuff for that, if
Mm.
you did it the opposite way to that, you would get a lot of stick. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You
Yeah.
was hurting children, scaring them, punishing them. You would get, so the people that do it the nice way are doing it because they, they don't want to cause that to the dogs. And
Mm.
for me, that's why I went with the IMDT. I've done lots of other courses since, different people, but they're all that base where they're
Yeah.
using the raw base positive reinforcement. Um, so I think with punishment, I don't know if you want to maybe expand on kind of for owners as well, what to kind of look for when they're looking at a dog trainer, maybe things to avoid.
My advice would be, if you're looking for someone to help train your dog, look at their accreditations.
Yeah.
Now, there's certain ones out there that are more well known than others. Obviously, you've got the IMDT, who we're qualified and accredited with. Um, you have the APDT. You've got PACT. They're newer out, but they're very good. Um, so there's these people. If you look for people with these accreditations, you'll know that they've got a code of ethics they follow. If they don't follow those code of ethics, you can complain to
Yeah.
their board and they will take it up. Um,
Mm.
but at least then you know what you're getting. Um,
Yeah.
with other people, you can go to them, and like we've said earlier, it used to be years ago, many of the different types of trainers, the balance trainers that use force and fear, they didn't like using treats. When I first started training, I did train with
Ah.
different people, They hated you using treats, didn't like it at all.
Right.
Since then, I then found the IMDT. Um, and since then, I'd say only in about the last maybe 4 years, you've started to see more and more of these type of trainers using treats. Now, that's even more
Yeah.
confusing for the client,
Yes.
for dogs and their
Yeah.
families, because then you've got them using treats and saying, no, I use positive reinforcement, but they actually use false as well. They use punishment. So
Yeah.
not only is that confusing for the dog's families, that's really confusing for the dog as well, because sometimes they're getting praise, they're getting the treats. Other times they're having a slip lead yanked on them, or worse, a prong collar, or something like that, or
Yeah.
hit, or yelled at. Um, when we say yelled at, I mean everyone. I'm guilty of it. Sometimes you might shout at your dog, get away from that kind of thing. I'm on about it's used consistently to have a go at the dog for doing something wrong. So the dog steps out of line, they'll say, oi! And the dog's like, oh my God, what have I done wrong? Dog steps out of line again, oi!
Yeah.
And something happens. I mean, it's something that's used like that. Um, so you need to talk to anyone you let near your dog, even walkers would be my advice. Walkers, groomers, everyone, anyone you let near your dog. What kind of methods do they use for training? What
Yeah.
do they do if your dog is naughty, in their opinion?
Yeah.
Um, would they use false? Do they use corrections?
Yeah.
If they say yes, I'd run a mile.
Yeah. Me too.
What you're
100%.
looking for is if you are someone, well, if my dog does something wrong, how do you deal with that? That person says, well, I'm going to look at what was happening at the time, what they done that I perceived as wrong, and then I'm going to help them to know, right, no, we don't do that. This is what we can do instead, and show them an
Yeah.
alternative behaviour and set them up to succeed. Don't expect to put a dog in a paddock or wherever with a load of toys you don't want your dog to be touching, or a load of things they can dig that's so tempting for a dog, without giving them other opportunities to do other things instead. So yeah, all these questions to ask someone, look through their pages, look through their social media, look for any signs that they use false. Do they use slip leads? Do they use grots? Grots are a collar that's like the end of the slip lead that goes around their neck, so like the noose
Really
itself, and
thin.
then they, yeah,
Yeah.
really thin, and then they attach the lead to that. Do they use prong collars? Do they use e-collars? Um, do they use spray water bottles and things like that? So anything like that, red flags, my advice would be just get out of there. Don't even entertain them.
Yeah. And yeah, you covered loads. That's perfect. Like, just one thing I was going to touch on, the balance trainers using the treats. So it's kind of
Mm.
the way I would say to people is they correct the dog, which is so confusing. The dog then stops doing what it's doing. Then they get thrown a load of treats. And it's
Yeah,
just like,
such
what?
mixed messages, isn't it?
So confusing. There's no
Mm.
consistency and just
No.
clear communication with what your dog. And then, like you said, all these methods, but also just things like hopping, so pulling the lead quick, you know, stop. Again, that's a form of like kind of corrections, and things like wording. I always find wording is quite a good one to look out
Yes.
for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the wordings kind of that make me prick up my ears and think I need to look at this person a bit more. If I was an owner, would be the dominance, the alpha, little pack leaders.
Yeah.
Again, obviously corrections is
Yeah.
that comes into it.
You
Um,
need to be
those
stronger
sort
with
of
your dog. I've heard that
yeah,
one
you're
out of them
too
before. You need to be
soft.
stronger. Yeah.
You're too
Louder.
soft. The dog's taking the mick out of you. The dog thinks they're the
Yeah.
boss. If you let it on the sofa or the bed, it's gonna dominate you.
Oh, and out the door
Like,
first. If your dog goes out your street door
yeah,
first, then it's going to dominate you. It's like, oh, whoa. It's all
I
been
know.
debunked, for God's sake.
Yeah, so that whole thing around the alpha, if you look
Yep.
into it, it was done. It was, and it was brought out that, and it was all done. Now they've said it was in a not a very good environment. The environment didn't work. It wasn't set up properly. It's all been debunked. Dogs don't see us as a dog. It's the other
No.
thing. They know we're not a dog. They
Yep.
only have to, you know what I mean? Like dogs scent, they learn so much through it. They smell, they know a dog. They know we're not a dog. They're not trying to get above us and be dominant. If we're kind and we're caring and they trust us and they build that relationship, they're never ever gonna need to be aggressive to us or you know.
No.
And the one thing I wanted to mention while we're on here, because it does happen a lot with positive reinforcement training. I think me and you are saying the same, but pretty much all of us. If there's a change in behaviour, the first one we say is take your dog to the vet.
Yep, get a thorough vet check done. Yep. And
Yeah,
you get some
because
trainers don't do that.
don't
And
cover
then there's
that.
a dog
And it,
struggling
yeah,
in more
and
ways than one.
yeah, we're going to cover that with a guest about pain and
Yeah.
behaviour, which we're really looking forward to because it's really needs to be out there, I think. But the reason that that worries me with some of these trainers is because it doesn't matter how much you do for a dog. It doesn't matter if you use positive reinforcement on a dog. If they're in pain, they have discomfort, there's something going on with them, you're never going to help them. Imagine
No.
us being ill and you're trying to learn. You know, it's like if you're trying to learn and you're not
Yep.
feeling good, it doesn't work. So I would definitely say that's a big thing to always, even if your trainer doesn't recommend it, you can say, do you think I need to my dog checked over?
Yeah.
Um, that's I find that gets missed a lot with these
Yep.
punishment correction trainers. And again, it's just never ever got any kind of backing of where they've learnt about dog training. There's nothing on their websites.
No.
There's
No,
nothing.
no, this is it. And that's another sign, isn't it? So if you see, and if there is something where they say they're accredited, something, look into that as well. You
Yeah, that's
must go
important.
behind. Don't just say, oh, look, they have got an accreditation. Actually look at who they're saying they're accredited by. Look through their social media. Look at what they say about punishment, corrections, tools that they may use, and how they escalate punishment that they may use as well. Um,
Mm.
it really be so thorough. And like I say with your dog walkers as well, do the same thing. I know a lot of dog walkers coming on the scene now, new ones or ones that have been about before. I'm looking at some of their pictures and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm seeing a lot of equipment. So check
Yeah,
anyone you let near your dog, check them out because it takes that one person to do something and that can start problems with your dog.
God, yeah, 100%. That's everything. Like you say, if your dog goes to daycare, if your dog goes to boarding, if your dog goes out of a
Yep,
walker, like you say, the
yep,
groomers, how do the groomers deal with your dog if they're struggling? Because that's a
yep,
hard situation. There's so much.
yep.
I mean, obviously, we're talking about mainly training today with the positive reinforcement, but we just really want to get across what it is, why we use it, and
Mm.
the other side, because people rally round like try and not talk about this sort of thing, but it's important because the owners need to know.
Yeah, and it's confusing. It's so confusing for them.
Yeah,
The other thing I'll just mention there as well, Cheryl, is anyone can call themselves a trainer because it's not a
yeah,
regulated industry. Anyone can call themselves a behaviorist as well.
yeah,
So yeah, if someone calls themselves a behaviorist, look behind all of that as well. Generally, a behaviorist, if I'm going to refer on to a behaviorist, if I've got something where I think, oh goodness, no, there's something really going on with this dog, it's way out of my capabilities, I usually refer on to a veterinary clinical behaviorist.
mm,
Um, so anyone who mentions they're a trainer, behaviourist, look at their credentials, look behind everything. Behaviourists have generally got degrees as well.
yeah,
But really do your research because it's an unregulated industry. So anyone can pop up tomorrow saying they're a dog trainer and potentially ruin your dog with the methods
yeah.
they
That
use.
that's just so important. What you said there, that is it. Just check it out yourself. Look at the membership they've got or who they're accredited
Yep.
with. Go and check their website out. Go and ask them questions if you're really not sure. Contact them
Yeah,
and say, "What do
that's
your
what they're there
members?
for.
How do they train? Yeah, how
Yeah.
do they train?" Um, and I like you say, it's so confusing because sometimes the wording used kind of tricks owners as well. It
Yeah.
does trick them a little bit. It's just not clear. I mean, I'm clear with everything on my website, on my social media of what I do, who I am, and you are as well. I've with
Yeah.
your stuff that
Yep.
we're very clear. I think that's another thing. If you think someone is force free, you'll pretty much know by their social media,
Yeah.
the stuff they put on there. You'll see
Yep.
it. But if you're really ever worried as well, like this is what a podcast is, reach out to us.
Yeah.
We can
Absolutely.
we can put you in the right direction of a certified trainer that's going to use science-backed, kind methods. That's what we're here. All our stuff's in the description of how to contact us. Contact us on our Facebook page. But if you're ever that worried, come to someone like us and we can direct you um, to the right one, So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a hard one, and we keep doing what we're doing because for us, if we help one dog using the methods that we use, that's a positive. Um,
Yeah.
but I do think this episode was needed because I think people need to make their own decisions, and that is the thing. An owner's decision of how they train their dog is always their own,
Yeah.
but it's having that information of the methods that you use, what they do, and stuff like that, and then you can make that decision. We can't go around telling people they can't do things to their dogs, but when it's clear, then it's up to you,
Yeah.
and you've not been misled or anything like that. So
Yep.
yeah. Have you got anything else to add on that today?
No, I think you covered it all. I mean, definitely, we're here if people wanted to reach out, do your homework. Anyone you're going to use to help you with your dog, ask loads of questions. If they're genuine, they're not going to mind you asking loads of
No,
questions, and they should
yeah,
never make you feel silly either.
no,
Um, they should respect you, that's your family member, your dog that you're looking out for. It is a minefield out there, as I say, so it's not easy at times. So just research, 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 and then make an informed decision.
yeah, perfect. You finished that perfectly. I think that's everything that we want people to take from today's episode.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
yeah, perfect. So we hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have, please follow, subscribe, and share. We would really appreciate that. And obviously, if you're enjoying the episodes, please feel free to leave us a review as well. It gives us feedback. It just helps us know when we're on the right track, so that we can make these episodes the best that we can make them. Okay, so that's enough for today, and we look forward to seeing you soon.